Welcome to this module where we will dive deeper into the importance of nonverbal communication in negotiations and high stakes situations, which are actually situations that we come across a lot as leaders. And as a leader, it is essential to understand the impact that your body language can have on the outcome of these critical interactions. The role of nonverbal communication in negotiations is profound because nonverbal communication goes beyond simply conveying credibility, confidence, and trustworthiness. It can also provide vital information about the negotiation process itself. For example, absorbing the opposing party's body language can help you identify when they are reaching their limit or when they might be open to compromise or discuss further opportunities. By recognizing these subtle cues, these subtle body language cues that come up, you can actually adapt your negotiation strategy accordingly and also increase the likelihood of a favorable outcome. Now, let's go over some key aspects to understand when it comes to using nonverbal communication and understanding nonverbal communication within high stakes situations. So, the first aspect to take a look at, and another one aspect that has a huge impact on the outcome of the negotiation, is something that we've talked about quite a lot in this course so far, which is mirroring and rapport building. So, we've already discussed that mirroring is a powerful technique that involves subtly mimicking the body language of the person that we're communicating with, and in this case, the person that we're negotiating with to establish rapport and create a sense of connection. Now, this can lead to a more collaborative atmosphere, making it much easier to reach a mutually beneficial agreement, which is the ultimate outcome when it comes to negotiations. However, it is critical to be subtle and genuine in your mirroring because overdoing it will come across as mocking or insincere, and it can actually go ahead and hinder the negotiation efforts. Now, another aspect that we talked about is controlling and managing emotions, and it does apply to negotiations as well, because high stakes situations can be emotionally charged, making it even more critical to maintain control of your emotions and your reactions. And one way to develop this, or one way to achieve this, is by developing this self understanding and self awareness of how your body language can betray your feelings. So, for example, if you notice that you tend to fidget when you're nervous, which does happen with quite a few individuals, you can actually consciously work on mimicking this behavior during negotiations. And by managing your emotions effectively, you can project an image of calm and confidence, even in the most challenging situations. To give you guys an example, I also have a very, very bad habit of talking very fast when I get nervous. But I've actually recognized this, and when I see this happening or when I see myself getting nervous, I consciously make an effort to talk slower so I don't actually portray this nervousness to others and actually lose momentum within the negotiation. Now, at the same time, it's very important to read the nonverbal cues of others because recognizing and interpreting the body language of your negotiation counterparts requires both attention to detail and empathy. By absorbing changes in posture, facial expressions, and eye contact, you can gauge their level of comfort, their confidence, and their sincerity. And additionally, understanding the cultural context and background of the other party can also help you avoid misrepresenting or misinterpreting their nonverbal cues and ensure that even your own body language is not offensive or misleading in any way. One thing that we're going to talk about in this module, one very, very important aspect and something very practical that you can apply right away comes down to power poses and confidence. Adopting power poses can have both a psychological and a physiological effect on your performance, especially during high stakes situations. And research has shown that holding a certain types of power poses for just a few minutes can increase testosterone levels and decrease cholesterol levels, leading to a higher amount of self confidence and reduced stress. And you'll see coming up in this module, we'll go over a very, very important power pose that you can start implementing right away to increase the level of your body language and your nonverbal communication, especially when it comes to high stakes situations. Before we go there, though, it's very important also to highlight the importance of active listening because active listening is a crucial skill in negotiations as it demonstrates your genuine interest in understanding the needs and concerns of the other party. So, this does not only include listening carefully to what they're saying, but also observing their body language cues that can provide additional information about their emotional state and their level of engagement. So, by practicing active listening, by looking for those nonverbal cues, you can actually build trust, foster collaboration, and improve the overall negotiation process for both parties. Now, we did mention that we're going to talk more about the power poses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one power pose that you should use right away as a leader when it comes to these high stakes situations. And this pose is called the steeple pose. Now, when you're doing the steeple pose, it doesn't matter if you're sitting or standing. But what you want to do is you want to put your hands in front of you with your fingertips touching and form a bit of a triangle or a steeple shape. Now, this gesture is often used by confident speakers, and what this gesture does is that it helps convey a sense of self assurance and thoughtfulness. Let me give you guys an example. These are just a few photos of well known leaders that are using this steeple pose almost every single time during their communications. So, for example, if you just look to the bottom right, we have Steve Jobs who's using the steeple pose, and we see a lot, Kevin O'Leary, and a bunch of other. Very successful leaders who often employ the steeple pose while speaking or even while present in these high pressure, high stake negotiation type situations. So, this is something that I highly recommend you guys try. In terms of body language and nonverbal communication, it really does convey that you are self assured, that you are thoughtful, and that you are not nervous at all. It can also help relax you and help you perform in the best manner possible when it comes to these high stakes situations. So, guys, try this steeple pose, and I'm sure you'll get great results. Now, in addition to power poses, here are some more tactics or practical tactics that you can try right away to help boost your confidence in these high stakes situations. And the first tactic that you can try is to maintain strong eye contact because holding eye contact demonstrates confidence and it demonstrates your assertiveness. So practice maintaining eye contact during conversations. This might not happen the first time, this might take some time to develop, but as you have conversations with your counterparts and the people around you, practice maintaining this eye contact, especially when you're trying to make important points or trying to persuade someone. And you'll see that this comes a little bit more naturally too. Now, another great tip to keep in mind is to use open and inviting body language, which means do not cross your arms, do not cross your legs, and don't try to close yourself off when it comes to your body language when you're in a high stakes situation. Because that actually conveys a bit of a negative tone and actually makes people feel like they can't talk to you or they cannot approach you. In fact, you want to use open and inviting body language, right? So you don't want to cross your legs. You want to open your arms. You want to have your shoulders relaxed. You want to be open towards the other person. And this actually makes you appear more approachable and receptive to other ideas. So actually, just using these small cues can make a big difference. Now, another important thing is while sitting or standing, do not be afraid to take up space. Expand your presence, broaden your shoulders, broaden your arms, whatever stance you're sitting on, broaden your legs, because expanding your presence can actually make you appear much more confident and much more authoritative. So you can see one example of that just based on the icon that we've used here. But taking up space does convey a sense of authority. Now, finally, guys, when it comes to your tone, when it comes to your vocal, make sure to keep a steady pace and tone of voice. We already talked about the fact that the faster you talk, the more unconfident, right, the more unassertive and unsure you appear. So instead, we want to speak very slowly and we want to speak very clearly. And we want to avoid using filler words like or whenever we can. I do understand that it does happen naturally, but whenever possible, if we can avoid these words, it would be absolutely amazing. So this is something that comes with practice, right? Listen to yourself talk. Maybe record yourself, see how many times you're saying these filler words. It is practically impossible to cut them out 100%, but try to reduce the amount of filler words that you're saying. And just by keeping a steady and slower pace, you'll see this happens naturally. And the great thing is when you do this, you'll actually come across much more confident, much more assertive, and much more likely to succeed in these high stakes situations. So, overall, guys, in this module, we've dived deep into the critical role that nonverbal communication plays in high stakes situations and negotiations as well. We've gone over some practical takeaways when it comes to the power poses we can try or some other tactics to keep in mind while we're in these sort of situations so we can help use our body language and nonverbal communication to optimize our performance. That's it from me, guys, in this module. I'll see you in the next one, and let's continue diving deeper.